The Suns took Jalen Smith over Halliburton. For anybody that doesn't remember.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another episode of the Bright Now podcast. We're recording this at 3:50 p.m. Eastern Time, right after the Philadelphia versus Suns game. My name's Dash, and I'm the Goran Dragic to my Eric Bledsoe here, my co-host TJ. Good to be talking to you again, brother. Give us a scoop. What the hell are we going on about today?
Well, it feels like we're back in the Eric Bledsoe Suns era anyway. So that's a fitting way to kick things off today. We planned out this pod to start. We were going to talk about the Wemby Spurs games, equally as disappointing as today. But what we just watched, I can't go 10 minutes without talking about it. I need to address this immediately. Just a completely lackluster performance. Felt low energy from the jump. Our offense revolves solely around a 35-year-old to just catch the ball wherever and go get us a bucket. I know that 35-year-old's Kevin Durant. I know Kevin Durant can go get us buckets whenever he wants. But in game 6 of the season, that's what we already have to fall back to, with Booker missing another game again after having a 30-point game a couple of nights ago. So not sure what our medical staff is up to there. I don't know how somebody can get cleared for one game 2 days ago, play a heavy minutes load, play by most accounts phenomenally, and then be out again 2 days later. We get a Bradley Beal video, the first time I feel like I've seen him not in street clothes, and it's him running sideline to sideline before the game. They're doing the announcing stuff. It all feels like it's for show. We still have no timetable on when he's going to return. Don't know what Book's injury is truly all about, because apparently it's a bigger deal than we originally thought. And our offense revolves around a 35-year-old Kevin Durant. So that's where things are. Anything you have in response to those initial takes on this outcome?
Well, we kind of talked about it before we started the show. I didn't know if I was crazy for feeling a certain way, but in terms of like how soft we feel as a franchise, it was just an awful viewing experience as like a Phoenix Suns fan in general. I mean, we took out our starters when I personally still felt like we had a chance. I know this is a marathon, it's not a sprint, but shit can go south very quickly, especially with, like you said, the timetable being not known for our 2 out of our 3 biggest stars. That video, the one before with the sideline to sideline running, the video I saw before with Bradley Beal was very scary to watch. It looks like this motherfucker was, cleaning the ice, cleaning the snow out of his own driveway, did the Larry Bird and just completely destroyed his back. So I'm just a little confused. Very, very like purgatory. I think I'm a little bit more optimistic than you. I'm more of like a, man, can I please just go ahead and see my boy Bradley Beal play a game of basketball? But other than that, man, I mean, there wasn't a ton of positives to take away, right? I mean, we saw Nurkic throw a few good passes here and there. That would be cool if he had 3 other superstars next to him, but we fucking don't. We have Josh Okogie doing as best as he can, making cuts down the baseline, trying to, flush it down once or twice, get some stops here and there, but it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit when you don't have enough talent at the end of the day. Am I right?
That's what there's just such a lack of depth on this team that it's some of the lineups that we toss out there are scary. And not in the scary hours way, the actual, oh no, this is not going to be a good season kind of way. I know I texted this to you last night, but it honestly feels like whenever in any of your English classes, throughout history in high school, junior high, college, whatever, and you read some old story, some Shakespearean tragedy, some like the Odyssey, the answer is always, if you want to get some free points, kids, just say that they're being punished for their hubris. And that's exactly what's happening to Phoenix Suns fans and our team as a whole. Ishbia comes in, makes all these splashy moves. We're super excited. We're cheering about, oh, championship or bust. We're going to just wreck the league start to finish. And now look at the product that we put in there, specifically in the last 3 games. Just an awful week, just an awful Sunday to Sunday to be a Suns fan, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know where things go from here. My biggest complaints in those Spurs game was the turnovers, just constant turnovers. This game, we'd cracked down on them some. We finished with 10 on the game, and the Sixers had 17. So we win the turnover battle. We finally win the turnover battle. But then everyone leaves their jump shot back home in Phoenix. and we're shooting 36% from the field, 25% from three. That's not good enough. We were not 9 for 35 from three. That's just atrocious and not going to win you a lot of games. We got, I didn't come into today thinking that Nurkic and Eubanks were going to stop Embiid, but he really seemed 26 points. He had a block, 11 rebounds, 9 for 18 from the field.
Can I mention that he only played 3 quarters?
It didn't play in the fourth. And it felt, well, my point was going to be that it felt like a quiet Joel Embiid night. It didn't feel like he was the one tearing us apart. He had the one crazy move with Eubanks pressing him too close around the free throw line, and that and one dunk, a weak foul call, but that's the superstar call that those guys are going to get. So I'm at a loss. I have no idea. I know you had mentioned earlier about us pulling the starters late. Well, at least the guys that we subbed in is Saban Lee, Jordan Goodwin, Nasir Little, Metu. They're the only guys on our team that had a positive plus/minus, +4, +3, +5 for all of those guys. Everyone else is negative double digits. So those guys clearly weren't getting it done. I know the feeling on your side where it feels like we just mailed it in, and we need, and which is something you can't do. You have to fight for these wins, start to finish. But at least those guys performed a little better than their opponent. I'm disappointed. I was honestly shocked to just see the low energy and effort. And as soon as I heard Booker was out, it's just you get that pit in your stomach. That's, oh great, this is just we're going to be the Brooklyn Nets 2.0, the Clippers 2.0. Everybody that's tried to just cheat the process, and we see the Nuggets looking like an absolute wrecking ball this early in the season. Those teams have gone through wars together, ton of playoff series, ton of minutes on the court together. And sometimes when you try to cheat the system, you get poor results like this.
Yeah, I agree. We'll definitely be hitting on the Nuggets later on in this episode. One thing I did want to ask you, just looking at the 76ers side, was there anything that impressed you especially? I'm going to touch on him in a little bit in the end of our episode with our special new segment that we do got. But Tyrese Maxey, man, he's pretty good at basketball. I mean, he knows how to dish out the ball. He can push the pace. Love the pace that he had against us as an unbiased Suns fan. I mean, as an unbiased NBA fan, but as a Suns fan, good God, we couldn't play defense for shit. Were you counting on Tobias Harris to hit turnaround jumpers over and over against our weak-ass defense? I mean, it wasn't on my bingo card, but it happened. Do you have the stats by chance?
I did, yeah.
Tobias Harris?
Tobias Harris was 7 for 10 from the field.
Yeah.
He missed a three, so 7 for 9 inside the three-point arc. 18 points. He was plus 20, 10 rebounds. So I had a double-double, and then with 4 free throws. So he was doing whatever he wanted today. Tyrese Maxey, and just an amazing performance.
You have 9 assists?
Yes, 10 assists. Finished with a double-double, 22 points, 10 assists. Grabbed 5 boards too. All over the place offensively. He had 2 offensive rebounds, which I had written down in my notes, off of his own missed layup, where we're contesting the shot and just ball watching, and Tyrese Maxey can just wiggle in there and get his own putback. So he's hustling. He's hitting threes. He was 2 for 6 from 3 today, but it seemed like his threes came in at big moments. My dad walked through the room when I was watching the game, and he just goes, do we have anybody that can guard Tyrese Maxey? And I think the answer is no. Okogie has done a good job defending those smaller guards. Like he guarded Steph earlier in the year, been doing at least solid. Which another weird point is Okogie coming off the bench. First of all, do you have any theories as to why that they would make that switch now and for this game?
I have absolutely no clue. It doesn't make any sense. I'm kind of concerned right now. Early season overreaction predictions with Frank Vogel. I mean, defense was something that we were going to have to emphasize and what we kind of believed in him to be doing for us. So with sitting somebody of that caliber on defense, sitting him at the start of the game, don't think it's a great idea. And it kind of transitions me into my other point that our defense is losing us games. And in this tough Western Conference, we're going to have to win games early on right here, even against these East Coast teams. Like I said, Embiid didn't even play a full 4 quarters. And that kind of transitioned me into lack of defense that the Suns have that started all the way on Tuesday, on Halloween, when we couldn't guard Devin Vassell, we couldn't guard Keldon Johnson, and Wembanyama had a fairly decent game when we went against him in that tough loss where we were up for, well, I want to say it was 47 minutes and 58 seconds. Percent of the game, and I just want to kind of hear your thoughts on the defense in that aspect, because like you said, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, we're obviously going to talk about other Spurs game where Wemby had his fucking coming out party, but are you nervous about this defense?
100%. I smashed the panic button today. I think that's kind of where my head's at as far as the defense is concerned. Our transition defense is non-existent. It feels
Atrocious.
Like Kelly Oubre beat us down the floor how many times? The Sixers had 19 fast break points to our 8 fast break points. That's basically the game right there. In a nutshell, I think we end up losing by 12, so we get outscored by 11 just in that category alone. If we don't start getting back in transition, teams are just going to be running on us all year. Our rotations aren't good. There's plenty of times where guys get, somebody gets beat off the dribble, the help comes here. And when these coaches are designing these defensive schemes, there's always a plan to have somebody on somebody. Like the plan is to never just have somebody shoot a wide open 3 in the corner with nobody running at him. And it seems like that happens all the time. There's plays where Eric Gordon, I'm specifically thinking about the Spurs game in this instance, where not stepping up to the roll man and just letting the roll man get right behind you, or not calling out a back screen to like a fade and they can just toss it right over the top and nobody's there to contest at all. And so there's just these boneheaded lapses, it seems like. And maybe Frank Vogel, they just need more time running his system. But at the end of the day, NBA defenses aren't all that different from each other. It's not like college basketball where it's like you got Syracuse running a 2-3 zone for 30 years and, they have a different scheme. And if you transferred from there to here, you'd have it'd be a big learning curve. That just shouldn't be the case here. Like, I don't know how different Frank Vogel could be teaching defense than the rest of the rest of the league. And so I think it's hard for me at this point to decide whether our defense or our offense is worse, especially without Beal and Booker. So I'm going to lean defense, just fingers crossed that when those guys come back, we're on top of things again. But very, very disappointing. Very disappointing. We gave up 60 points in the paint today. 60 points in the paint.
It's the easiest shot in basketball. We can't allow that. And as you were talking about earlier, I don't want to harp on the 76ers game because I know we did want to transition to the Spurs, but there were times where Tyrese Maxey was so open that he missed shots because there was nobody closing out. It often feels like, and I'm not trying to harp on a guy who's off the second unit, but it's a pretty important position. That center position, Drew Eubanks, I've often seen him seem lost. When I went to that game against the Spurs, there's many times where whether it be Zach Collins that would put him in the dirt, just going straight up on him, and he'll have a block here or two that'll boost up your morale as a fan and your hope for Eubanks. But getting lost in a defensive system, just as you said, I can't imagine it being so fucking complex where Drew Eubanks is consistently getting lost and not being able to find his guy. Grayson Allen is one of the people that I feel like is scrambling everywhere trying to help out where he can. But overall, as a team, it seems like people are getting lost often.
No, and that's where, like you touched on earlier, kind of full circle, that's why Okogie not starting seems so weird. I liked Keita Bates-Diop's minutes in the last couple of games. He's been fine. He's been serviceable. And I do like how he fits more naturally as a power forward position. I know they still have him listed as a small forward for whatever reason, but when KD's in the game, it feels like he can play more of the 4 than Okogie necessarily can. But we need somebody that can guard, somebody that can dribble. And Okogie seems to be, Grayson Allen in spurts, but Okogie's our best defender. He needs to start for this team. There's no excuse not to.
Zero excuses. And so we'll go transition into the final Spurs game. One that the main entree, the steak, the 32-ounce T-bone,
the
right
steak,
there
the potatoes, the carrots. It's Victor Wembanyama. Holy
He's fucking
cow.
real. He's real. Was that historic to watch? Was that like a oh, this is happening moment?
Yeah, that 100%. The moment that did it for me was, as far as just how much of a cheat code this guy is going to be, was I think it was in the second half. He catches an over the top pass by the rim, and there's 2 guys kind of between him and the basket, and he can just turn barely to the side and flip it over backwards finger roll. And it looked like an old school Wilt highlight. It literally a Nerf hoop highlight. You can't guard that. So I don't want to put too much, like, I don't blame the Suns for being the ones to give up 38. He was going to do this to somebody, and he's going to do it to more people for the next 15 to 20 years. But absolutely amazing. Just to read off his stat line, he 38 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. He was 15 for 26 from the field and 3 of 6 from 3. And he's 7'4".
What else is there to say? It feels goofy for me to even try to add on to anything with that, because he is genuinely, and I'm sticking with this take, Defensive Player of the Year candidate Victor Wembanyama has established himself as cream of the crop defender in the league already, and not only 5 games into his young NBA career, and nobody expected for his 3-ball to be there. I mean, there were certain people, you got kids that are like, oh, we saw him in France hit the one-legged. I don't think anybody really expected him to be shooting looks like that game, 50% from the 3-ball line. And those aren't even just catch and shoot. Those are multiple times where they're step back threes. He's attempting those. He's more than comfortable taking them. The one that you said you had your moment. My moment was, I think we were down 3 initially. Kevin Durant came and hit a big time 3. Wembanyama comes down and hits a 3 of his own at the top of the key. The Spurs get a stop, and then coming back down on defense, we see Victor Wembanyama get the ball in the post, get a little spin move. They come for the double, and he just, not even a dunk, just puts it over with his left hand, puts it over Drew Eubanks, like politely, like, oh, you're just kind of littler than me. I'm just gonna throw that in the basket real quick. It was a real like, oh, is this our Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Are we getting our version of a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? I think he can stay healthy. Like we said, we've talked about it before, the way he cares for his body, his passion for the game that he has. Every single NBA player mentions his passion and enthusiasm for the game, and I think that's what it takes. I mean, you see LeBron James is still a little-ass kid loving the game of basketball, and that's why he's able to play for 21 years. So I'm just so excited to see how Victor Wembanyama's career shapes out. Devin Booker, any takes on his game? He had almost a 32-point triple-double?
Yes, damn near. I do want to just touch on Wemby once more before we move on. So I was pulling up his stats. Right now, he's 20 points a game, 2 blocks, and 1.5 steals. So Defensive Player of the Year is All-Star is almost guaranteed at this point. He might be a starter based on the fan vote. Like, if people in France, I think I saw something where like K-pop fans love him too. So maybe we're even going to get that little bump there. Kind of the Andrew Wiggins bump, right? No, he's absolutely incredible. And to speak on the injuries part of it, he doesn't move like these other 7'4" guys that we've ever seen. Porzingis is probably the closest thing to it, but he also takes some really bad tumbles. He can seem really very stiff in parts. But that Wemby, he whenever he does fall, it doesn't seem like it's twisting his knees like crazy. Like, it seems like he knows how to fall properly. And yeah, he takes care of his body. He's a problem now. The Spurs might make the play-in.
I genuinely think in my heart of hearts that they have a really good opportunity to make the play-in. And I know this section is supposed to be about the Suns, and I do want to talk about Devin Booker eventually, but it's so hard not to talk about this team because I know Devin Vassell went down with that groin injury, which makes that game even more impressive, if we're being honest, because let me go back to the stats right here. I think, Keldon Johnson only had 7 points out there, which was, kind of big time. He's supposed to be part of their big 3, guy who got signed to a big contract. Devin Vassell only had 14 points when he went out with that groin injury. It was full blown the Wembanyama show. I'm just so excited. And to cap off with the Suns real quick, I want you to touch on Devin Booker, and I did want to pose a final question for you as we wrap up this section. Does Beal, is he the Band-Aid that fixes everything? Is he just a Band-Aid, or is he an actual solution? Talk to me.
Having more firepower is always going to help, but it does seem like a Band-Aid over some larger issues, such as our bench unit just not performing at the level that we would hope. Our overall, like, Beal's not necessarily known as an assist to turnover ratio god, right? He's not a point guard by any means. He's a score first player. And as of right now, In that first game against the Spurs, we had 19 turnovers. In the second one, we had 14 with 11 in the first half. We have the second worst turnover percentage in the league, only behind the Pistons. So they're the only team that turns over the ball more than us. And then we're second worst in turnovers per game, just straight up turnovers per game. So I don't know if Beal helps with that. I don't think he cures it. Obviously, we're going to hopefully score more points, or at least take some of the weight off of guys like hopefully Eric Gordon doesn't have to drive to the basket 15 times a game anymore. Yeah. It's rough. In that second Spurs game, we gave up 17 points off turnovers. So that's just not going to cut it. The Spurs took 18 more shots than us, period. We shot a good percentage against them. Like you said, Devin Booker had an amazing game. He was 31 points, 13 assists, 9 rebounds. KD, 28 points, 6 rebounds, shooting 50% from three, 66% from the field. But when they just take that many more attempts than you, it doesn't matter how well you shoot. You're not going to have very high chances to play the game, especially when you got a guy like Wemby, who I know we cut the lead short because we were down 20 at most points of the game. We're able to bring it close, but then we just didn't have an answer once we brought it in.
Yeah, 100%. I think that wraps up our sorry-ass weekend as Suns fans. But coming up next, there were big news that happened over the weekend, right? Or over the week. It wasn't super exciting for some of us, but James Harden is now a Clipper. We're talking about it up next.
Yeah, I don't understand why it took the Spurs so long to recognize the only thing that they need to do is just throw the ball up near the rim, and Wembanyama will fucking make a play. It actually blows my mind.
And we're back. So, probably the least exciting time that this guy has been moved, because shit, it feels like the 90th time we've seen him force himself to another team. We're talking about James Harden, traded to the Los Angeles Clippers, along with his biggest of bro, PJ Tucker. My guy TJ, how do you feel about this trade? I know you were just super excited.
So I will preface this with, for probably the last decade, James Harden has been my favorite player in the NBA. And there is some context to go with that. Growing up in Arizona, we used to have Arizona State basketball season tickets when Harden was at ASU. So how could you not root for this guy? Drafted by the Thunder, career's awesome, goes to Houston. We all know the story. So have always been a super pro Harden guy. But at this point, it's so hard to root for somebody that just sabotages whatever situation they're in to just go play somewhere else. I mean, we all know what happens. He opts into the contract with the Sixers, thinks that he's just going to get turned around and traded again. We get the whole Daryl Morey is a liar fest. Great content. It's funny stuff, seeing them in the club holding up the signs, right? But I don't give a fuck about this trade. We know the Clippers' problems. They can't stay healthy. The last time Harden and Westbrook played together, I don't know if you guys remember, it didn't go well. They both decide to force their ways out and are just like, yeah, we can't do this. I don't know why Steve Ballmer and the Clippers organization would push for this. I know that people keep giving the excuse, move into the new arena. You need somebody that can sell tickets. Kawhi, PG, Harden, and Russ are all free agents this summer. So unless you do think, hey, make the championship push, if you really think that James Harden's going to make you that much better to win a championship, go for it. Obviously we know that they didn't have to give up a ton. They did some of that draft capital. They're in this similar situation as the Suns, right? Where just very limited draft capital moving forward. So they felt like they had to do the move. I like it for the Sixers. I don't love it for the Sixers. They might be able to turn those picks around into somebody else. I know we've had some text threads talking about Donovan Mitchell's potential future in Cleveland. Don't need to dive into that now. But does this change your standings prediction for the Clippers?
In terms of standings for the regular season, I actually might be a little bit more optimistic than you. I do think this might bump them up 1 or 2 seeds, but to be fair, I did have the Clippers at the 9th seed. I could see James Harden raising the floor for the squad. I mean, he did lead the league in assists last year during the regular season, so he does bring that element to the squad. But if I'm being honest, it's more of the off-court stuff that's making me hate this even more. I'm not sure if you saw it, but Harden's quote was saying that He's not really a guy that fits into a system. He is a system, and that's exactly what you don't want to hear if you're a Clippers fan.
That's the
I think
problem.
that's so fucking selfish. It's so ridiculous. You have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on your team, but you're the system, right? It hasn't worked so far, Harden. I mean, let's look at any of your playoff exits over and over throughout the years. I mean, last year you had 2 40-point games, look good, but when it matters most, you can see it at the very beginning of the game. Oh, Harden's not very interested right here. If we go back even further, we see him get blocked by Manu Ginobili at the end of the game. It wasn't feeling it this year. It's a continuous pattern that I'm personally sick of seeing. And as a guy who used to be a bandwagon Clippers fan, even back when that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard trade first happened, it kind of makes me sad to see this team completely fall apart in my eyes. Like you said, I think the Clippers are stupid as hell for this. Like you were alluding to earlier, you are a former big Harden guy, but you recognize that the playoff history is not very valid for.
No,
this team,
I've been trying to find ways to defend it for his entire career, and it's impossible. It's
impossible.
Unequivocally, his numbers and he's had great playoff performances here and there, but they've never been in the most important games or against the best competition. When they have a chance to go to the finals when they play that Warriors team in 2016 or 27, whichever year it was, and then they missed the 28 threes in a row, something ridiculous. Like that's one of those situations where James Harden needs to show his dominance, get to the free throw line, go get some easy buckets, start cooking. And no, he just pisses down his leg, and I don't expect the I think I had the Clippers 9th as well. Maybe they jump up. I still think they're a play-in team. I don't see it, especially if Kawhi and PG are just going to do the same old thing that they've been doing, and that's just getting hurt and not being available.
And it sucks because they're rolling right now too. Like it looks cute. Like I won't lie, it's awesome to see Paul George hit those clutch big time threes against the Lakers the other night. Even though it did end in a loss, it was cool to see Kawhi come down there and be robotic and hit those jumpers. But you know what it really comes down to at the end? I mean, even as Suns fans, we went and saw that game where Kawhi made us shit our pants, fucking cooking in front of us.
Scary.
And how it ends, the knees can't hold up, and I think that's just going to be the case for everything. I mean, Westbrook's IQ is not going to hold up, unfortunately. No disrespect, but we've seen in clutch situations, Westbrook is more than willing to take those shots where we see that Paul George's knees are also not going to hold up. Kawhi's knees are not going to hold up. James Harden's skill level is not going to hold up when it gets to crunch time. So, I don't know. Poor Terrence Mann, big fan of his. I hope this team, can find some way to be entertaining throughout the playoffs or stay healthy, but finishing up with that, we're looking at other teams throughout the league. If you don't mind, I'd like to go first right here because this was a super, super exciting game. It was the Kings versus Warriors game, and good golly, Miss Molly, it was a show to watch. So first of all, De'Aaron Fox was hurt in this game, and it was a 1-point game. So I first want to preface by saying the Warriors shouldn't be super nervous that they almost lost to like a Foxless Kings. But they need to know that like they aren't the greatest matchup with the Kings. The Kings match up very well with them. And it was a lot of like Curry turnovers with that different look that they were giving him. They might have cracked something because, pressuring Curry with 2 people early, it forced him to have 7 turnovers and only 21 points. So I don't want to look too deep into it. It might have just been a bad Curry game. But it was crazy to see. I mean, the Kings love that dribble handoff of basketball, and you won't find a bigger fan of dribble handoff basketball than me. But Sabonis is just the leader of that offense, having 8 assists, a super evenly distributed scoring output from everybody on the court. And I just love how uglily good Sabonis is at basketball. I mean, he stepped up as a leader with Fox being out. And just overall, what I kind of got from it was the Kings are a good basketball team, not just too top heavy. They got, 2 potential all NBA guys, with Sabonis being 3rd team last year. I'm not sure if Fox made an all NBA team off the top of my head, but I don't think he did either. But just a great team overall. I love what Mike Brown is doing over there. Team's still hella young. Harrison Barnes doesn't have any 2K badges. Absolutely needs some. Blows my mind. But Montrezl Harrell has 13. What the fuck? Watch some basketball. 2K doesn't know ball. That's what I'm saying, Ronnie. Step up your game. I'm not sure if you actually watched this game. I think you told me you saw some of the highlights. Clay had that game winner down the clutch, that free throw line jumper. Very entertaining game. You're a fan of the Kings basketball, aren't you, or Warriors basketball?
I love the brand of basketball that honestly both of those teams play. A lot of ball movement, a lot of free flowing actions going on. I think the first kind of thought that jumped into my head about Sabonis though is that might be what the Sabonis for Halliburton trade might be one of the best trades in NBA history in terms of just both teams being super happy with what they got. Like they filled the gap that they needed. They believed in De'Aaron Fox enough, which I'm totally there for. At this point in time, De'Aaron Fox is still better than Halliburton. Obviously, looking forward, you can kind of switch things around. But we just saw Halliburton last night getting clutch buckets, making assists, being an absolute leader on that Pacers roster too, coaching up Jalen Smith. Those guys were in the same draft class.
The Suns took Jalen Smith over Halliburton, for anybody that doesn't remember.
But so the things like that you just see, absolutely love that. Sabonis is awesome. The Keegan Murray, shout out to him. Like you said, Mike Brown really doing his thing with that group. So super impressed by both of those squads. The Warriors still keeping it together. So yeah, definitely shout out to those guys.
Shout out Draymond. What other teams were you watching throughout this week that really caught your eye?
So the first team I want to talk about is really the Thunder. So gonna get a little bit more Warriors talk here with them playing last night too. I guess earlier in the week though they played the Pistons, was able to check that game out. SGA 32 points, just a stud. He's super crafty. I said it to you the other day on a phone call, but he just seems like long pause Kyrie. He's got all the same kind of craftiness and moves, really great body control, but just got longer wingspan, taller. Also, just quick note on the Pistons. I am loving how Marcus Sasser has been playing. Every game he's slowly been getting more minutes every game, and his production's just increasing along with it. He capped it with the 19 points against the Pelicans, just absolutely improving. He needs to get into the starting lineup over Killian Hayes. I'm sorry. I know some people Jaden Ivey's getting some buzz there too. Big Marcus Sasser guy. Shout out to the University of Houston. Go Cougars. But more on the Thunder. Last night we see them in an absolute barn burner against the Warriors. Warriors end up getting the best of them. Kind of a questionable call at the end. I don't mind it. I thought his hand touched the net first before Draymond's hit the rim. Whatever, the shot was going in either way. Keep him in front if you don't want that to happen, Thunder fans.
Yeah.
But a super balanced scoring night. Like we said, Lou Dort, go Sun Devils. 29 points. Chet, 24. Jalen Williams, another Arizona product, 18. Josh Giddey, 18. Super balanced against a great Warriors team. And they do all of this without SGA, almost taking the Warriors to overtime. I mean, 0.2 seconds left. The Warriors needed every bit of Steph Curry's performance to get this one done. So just really impressed with the Thunder so far. And we've said it before, they're going to be scary for the next 5 years.
So excited. And then just even looking, not to look too deep into it, but just like, not to be that guy, SGA's Instagram post, he's so like, he answers all the 2K questions, like the plus 100 team chemistry. You know what I'm saying? Like he's very, it seems like a tight-knit group of guys, that starting five, even the guys on the bench. I love the direction of what they're going. What do you say?
Who was it that they had the slam cover last week or whatever, and one of the other guys photoshopped his picture on it and was like, "Hey, great team photo shoot, guys." I'm mad that I can't remember who it was, but it's like those guys are making jokes. You always see them in each other's Instagram comments and stuff. I heard Josh Giddey posted a picture one time, and somebody's like, "Chill, my grandma's on here," and it's just funny shit like that. That's like, oh, okay. And all these guys are literally my age, so it kind of breaks my heart a little bit, but it's fucking awesome. They're super fun.
Yeah. They're living the dream, and shout out to them. Fucking A. You also have to preface to everybody that you are 34 years old and let them know that you're older.
Fuck you. I was born in 2000. We're going to be in the same nursing home. You know that, right?
90s babies be like. So, no, I love the direction that OKC is going. I'm kind of infatuated with how they're doing it. Just like you said earlier, all the way alluding to cheating the system and how people like to, how the Suns are kind of doing with buying our guys, with getting KD and Beal on the team, as opposed to like the Nuggets. This could be like an early Nuggets situation. We see SGA and Chet go against the fucking Spurs in the Western Conference Finals between Wembanyama. It's just going to be an awesome to see, a real homegrown environment. Presti is the fucking man. It still has 1 trillion draft picks. Who knows what we're going to do with that? Do they even need more players?
These guys together. That's the tough part, is just keeping these guys together. Those 5 guys, including SGA that I listed out, are going to get paid in the NBA and deserve it 100%. So they may need the cap to keep going up if they're going to keep this group together.
New TV deal. Next game that I had, I wanted to talk a little bit just about the Lakers versus Magic. It's been kind of a slow start for Paulo in this season. I don't want to say sophomore slump right away, but he only had 9 points in that game. And at this point, I hate choosing sides. I love choosing sides. I am more of a Franz guy at this point in time, and I know that you're more leaning Paulo at the moment. But like I said, no shade at all. I mean, get as much talent as you can. But Franz has just proven over and over again that he's a phenomenal rebounder. He's able to distribute the ball. He's got the ball like on a string at points, and it's beautiful to see. He's got those nice crafty / nasty buckets.
Yeah, sneaky shifty.
Sneaky shifty, absolutely, and it looks slow, and it might just be because like the pigmentation of his skin, but he looks like he's nice out there. And I also wanted to touch on Cole Anthony. He's personally up at this point in early 6th man of the year candidate. I mean, he's averaging almost 16, 5, and 3 off the bench at the time of this recording. So I'm all in on the Cole Anthony experience. I liked him a lot in college. I know he was kind of a polarizing player back then. And then in terms of the Lakers side, it's just weird, TJ. So was the LeBron minutes restriction just a made-up thing that was just a little soundbite for ESPN to talk about for a day? Is that what
it was? It was day one, and then I think LeBron realized, oh, fuck, I have to play 40 minutes if we want to win games. Same thing with Anthony Davis. I think I heard Anthony in like 5 games, he's playing 210 minutes so far, and Anthony Davis ain't built for that on an 82-game schedule. He ain't built for that on a 40-game schedule. Mm-hmm. So that's gonna need to shift for the Lakers. But honestly, the Suns are in the same boat. We got Booker and KD playing a lot of minutes when Booker does play, playing a lot of minutes, and it's a little scary.
No, for sure. And Anthony Davis, just like you say, is not going to be able to sustain these type of minutes. And although he's having quarters where he's looking like Defensive Player of the Year at points, it doesn't really matter if he's not going to be there at the end of the season. Those were the 2 games that I really wanted to harp on. Was there a few more that you had?
Just some quick hitters here. The Raptors end up just throttling the Bucks. I watched the majority of that game. The score ended up a little bit closer than I think the contest really was played. The Raptors were really just dominating. Scotty Barnes played amazing. They out rebounded the Bucks 50-29. And if you just think about the Bucks roster, like you got Giannis, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, all guys that you would say are excellent rebounders, to whoever the hell the Raptors want to toss out there, they're just going to go and get boards. So I thought that was a surprising output. The Bucks still got some figuring out to do. They end up closing out the Knicks yesterday in a close one, but super impressed with that Raptors win. I know they're 2-4, but hey, it happens. And then finally, just last night's Dallas versus Denver game, those 2 guys have to be leading the MVP race right now. I'd give the edge to Jokic right now, just coming off of last season. He was already kind of holding the belt to start it off, and after winning that game. But Luka with 34, 10, and 8, the Joker with 33, 14, and 9. It's awesome when in these high-profile, nationally televised games that the best players actually play at their best. So that was a ton of fun. That was a super fun game to watch. Even the Nuggets didn't really let them ever get too close, but awesome performance from the Stars.
And as long as they're going to keep doing this, that well-oiled machine, Nuggets is definitely the favorite to win, to repeat this year. It's been beautiful basketball to watch. If you're a fan of true traditional basketball, it has been fucking awesome to see. I love that inverted pick and roll that him and Murray run. It's awesome. Murray's actually a really underrated screen setter and just an amazing roller at a guy who's 6'4" with one of the tallest 6'4" guys in the league with that kind of vertical. And Jokic is going to continue to make those right passes. And you go ahead.
And they feel like one of the teams that plays the most different from everybody else, where like they still have Aaron Gordon just lives in the dunker spot. He'll step out and shoot every now and then, but when Jokic catches it on one post, he's always just lurking. And if they send the double, he's going to throw the quick lob. There was an awesome play from Jokic at the free throw line where he just snaps it over to him. So I love the way they play. And I think, honestly, that them and the Celtics are the only 2 teams that I know for sure are good this year. Like, those are the 2 contenders right now. Everyone else I am waiting to see.
Completely different tiers up to this point. Ending with that, we got our next 2 segments. Then we're going to take a break here for a second. We're going to go ahead and talk about the in-season tourney as it has just started with some of those ugly-ass courts, some of those beautiful courts. And then we also got a new segment called Flowers and Soil. Stay tuned. And we're back. First of all, Pacers, what the fuck are those courts? I'm sorry, respectfully, I have no clue what I was looking at. It looked like a shade of that blue was coming back and bouncing off on the players' faces. It looked a little too much. What do you think?
They're just horrendous. Like, it's so annoying to just watch too. It was like the first 5 minutes of the game, I feel like I couldn't even like comprehend what was going on basketball wise. Like, I was just so distracted. It was just like the blue just seeped into my brain. My dad really fucking hated it. He was not a fan at all. So I guess the idea is that it's going to bring in more young fans and just kind of help signal when the in-season tournament is. But I think it's stupid. I hate how the teams picked colors that aren't necessarily their team colors. Like, I hate how that trend's happening, like how the Bucks were wearing like blue jerseys the other night. Dude, just wear your colors. Make it be easier on fans to be able to tell what's going on. I hated it.
Yeah, just to finish up this part, my pops was telling me that a lot of the older heads are like, these goddamn little kids are ruining the NBA with their 2K ass courts, want to customize everything.
Hot Wheels ass court.
Yeah. No, yeah, but the thing is, I do like some of them. I can't lie to you. I like the Suns one. I know we haven't got to see it in person, but we have saw the preview. That one looks pretty sexy to me. We'll have to just wait for them to keep on unveiling some of the different teams' home courts, and we should do that'd be a good video for us to make, a little tier ranking.
I think the best part, the Pacers announcer said something like midway through the second, was just reminded everybody, hey, we're only going to see these courts twice in this building. Everybody gets 2 home games for the in-season tournament. So I was like, okay. I was like, that's a good call by that guy to remind everybody. It's not forever, just for a little bit, guys.
He's real for that. That's hilarious. But speaking of the play-in tournament, I wanted to pose a question to you. So I personally think that there's one outstanding group in terms of the in-season tournament, like the best, most talented, most competitive group. But I want you to say your answer. I think we have the same one, but go ahead. I
think it has to be the group with Denver in it. It's Denver, Clippers, Pelicans, Dallas, Houston. I know we just spent a whole lot of time talking shit about the Clippers. I'm not a huge Pelicans guy, but they have star power, and if they're healthy, they're absolutely able to compete. And any group with Denver is just going to be absolutely elite. Obviously, Houston probably going to go 0-4 in this group play. But those other groups, I think, like we saw last night, great game between the Nuggets and Dallas. So hopefully that just keeps on continuing. Is that who you had as your best group as well?
Yeah, no, West B was by far, I think, the most talented group. And as you alluded to, we were talking shit about the Clippers. But they do have Paul George and Kawhi, and probably during this early part of the year, they're most likely going to be available. So I'm excited to see some of those games. We also got a healthy Zion at the moment, so let's not take that for granted with some of these playing games. And then the Mavericks have been on a roll. I mean, was that their first loss, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, first loss after 4-1.
Very excited, but in terms of like second place, and it's a far second place, but I do got West C, which is going to be the Warriors, Kings, OKC, T-Wolves, and Spurs. That could actually make an argument for being a more competitive if the Nuggets aren't just rolling over everybody every night. But I love what I saw from the Warriors and Kings. Obviously, we've talked about OKC and how much that we enjoy how they play. We got Wembanyama, who's going to make a surprise appearance in the playoffs apparently as a rookie. And the T-Wolves, I mean, as much fun as we want to make of Rudy Gobert's ass for, just standing in the paint, they're not a bad team. They're the only people to beat the Nuggets, so I'm excited.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards, ton of fun to watch. So I think the West C group might be the most fun in terms of just. Again, every team has a bona fide superstar or close to it on it. So totally with you there. I think that leads nicely into who's going to win this damn thing.
Woo! So I have kind of a weird pick just because I think that this team will give a fuck the most, and that's going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. And this episode might as well just be called fucking the Sun/OKC podcast because we've been harping on them. But man, I just think that these group of guys are going to really care about this because I'm sure they do have aspirations internally and within the organization of winning a championship within themselves. But realistically, as NBA analysts, as NBA fans, we recognize that they're just not there yet. And I think this gives them an opportunity to play in a situation where the stakes do feel higher. There's a sense of winning something. There's a sense of camaraderie. There's a sense of clutchness at the end of games where it matters a ton. I'm just very excited to see them. And so in turn, I do think that Shea will be the MVP. I don't think that Chet is going to make a random jump and be the rookie and do everything. If he does, awesome. Love it. But I do think Shea is the guy, the 30-point per game scorer that we're so used to seeing already, the shifty god. What about you? Who did you think is going to win the in-season tourney?
So we could probably change the name of the podcast to Sun/Thunder/Nuggets at this point. I'm going with the Nuggets. They're the favorite to win it, so not exactly a hot take here. I just think kind of the opposite logic that you used about the Thunder going to be caring about it a lot more. I think the Nuggets are just going to care about every game as much as they do.
They're going to accidentally win.
Exactly. Jokic cares about every time he steps on the court as much as he did the last time. Like, he's just one of those. People give him shit for not caring about basketball. I think he absolutely loves it. Like, obviously, like there's some more quotes and stories that come out to kind of repair that PR damage. But I think they're just going to still come in and kick people's asses. That's all that they know how to do. They're gonna hand Jokic the trophy, and he's probably gonna hold on to it for about 2 or 3 seconds before passing it off to whoever else actually wants it next. So yeah, I'm going with Denver. Not a shocker. Jokic as the MVP. He's averaging 27, 12, and 7.7 assists so far. Best player on the planet. And if you want a safe bet, if you want to secure some safe money, you could definitely put it on the Denver Nuggets plus 800 to win. So that's pretty good odds too.
Is there anybody in the East that you could see winning this? I know this is kind of a
Boston.
not planned question.
Boston.
That group play doesn't look super strong.
No, yeah, they got the Nets, Raptors, Bulls, Magic. They can go 4-0 in that group easily. So and the East is just weaker overall. It seems like it has been for most of our lives at least. So super high on the Celtics. Like I said earlier, the Celtics and the Nuggets, I think, are the only two clear contenders at this point. Milwaukee has their own problems. The Sixers have problems. Obviously, the Suns have problems. Lakers, whoever else you want to name. But Celtics and Nuggets are the only two teams that the flaws aren't as heavy as some of the other groups.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I did want to touch on this just real quick. If we do have to pick like an Eastern team for the group, I do think one that would be competitive is the Sixers, the Cavs, even though they've been slightly disappointing. We'll definitely talk about that in an episode. The Pacers, the Hawks, and Detroit, I think that'll be the most competitive. Really enjoy all those teams in terms of visually watching them.
And the Pistons aren't going to roll over. Like, the Pistons are going to make you beat them. They're going to make you earn it. Cade Cunningham's legit. Like, you got to take it from him. I mentioned Marcus Sasser, Jalen Duren. Yeah, you're going to have to earn it. Same with the Hawks, star power, Pacers. We love Tyrese Halliburton. Miles Turner's been playing really great defensively. So, yeah, definitely that group is going to be very competitive, I think.
Super excited. All right. So now we finally get to hear. This is something that TJ introduced. Finish the sentence. What's more important, the flower
or the soil that grow it? Shout out to Benny the Butcher. So just to explain how this award system works, every week as we jump on the pod, we're going to be both giving away two mini trophies, I guess you can call it. First one, we're going to give somebody their flowers. So the player that week who we've just seen excel, play amazing, either winning important games, putting up huge stat numbers, if it's just specific small moments. So we got somebody to give their flowers to, and the other person to give some soil to. Because as an NBA team, you need your flowers, but you need the soil to those guys that are going to do the dirty work, the guys that are going to fight for the offensive rebounds, dive in for loose balls, and really just take care of all those other things that the stars don't necessarily have on their plate because they're busy scoring the ball, right? So I'll let you start us off. Who are you giving flowers to this week?
Man, with the flowers, and this kind of does hurt me because this guy just dicked us down gangster style, and that's going to be Tyrese Maxey. I mean, what can I say? If the season ended right now, he would be a second or third All-NBA guy right now, right? Like, I just love the pace that he plays with, as I was talking about before. I mean, before the Suns' ass whooping, I don't know what the numbers are now, but he was averaging 27, 6, and 5 on 49% from the field, 50% from three, and 92% from the line. The man is 1% away from averaging 50, 40, 90 on this type of style and play, and I honestly think that he potentially saved Daryl Morey's job. I mean, if Tyrese Maxey doesn't make this jump with getting rid of James Harden, The Sixers are in shambles. We might be seeing that as we predicted, and I still have that prediction. I think you're standing on that too. But the Embiid trade request coming in at some point, I think he pushed that off for a minute. We'll see if they can get some other stars to help him out. But Tyrese Maxey has been a joy to watch. I love his willingness to attack the rim, but still being a phenomenal three-point shooter, just making great decisions out there. Turnovers aren't too high. He deserves his flowers at the start of the season.
Yeah, just another one of those blazing fast Kentucky guards that, he's going to shoot. He's very similar. Kind of funny how similar his game is to like Jamal Murray. But love the way Tyrese Maxey has been playing. Super fun to watch too. Just visually appealing. The eye test works. The stats back everything up as well. So definitely a great pick there. And so into my flowers this week are going to Scotty Barnes.
Hey,
I think we've already seen him start to take that leap into year 3. If you look at his year 1 to year 2 numbers, they're basically identical, averaging 15 points a game. You can go down the line. I don't need to read more numbers at you guys.
Progression's not linear. You take that step this year.
But so far, he's averaging 21 points, 2 blocks, 9.7 rebounds, and 5.8 assists. Like, that's insane. And just against Milwaukee, this is the game that we watched where they just kind of throttled him. He had 21, 12, and 5, 2 blocks, hit 4 threes. And with Giannis guarding him for a good amount of possessions too, his body control is second to none. Just able to, he moves it kind of like that Kyle Anderson movement, just kind of going in slow-mo, but just getting to his spots where he wants to, shooting mid-ranges, hitting threes. He's going to lock you up on defense. Love the way Scotty Barnes is playing. I know they're 2-4 right now, but it really looks like Scotty Barnes is making that leap and can really keep this Raptors team competitive this season.
Beautifully said. And I know you just said with the Kyle Anderson comparison, but you said on the phone call that he plays at his own pace, and any player that is able to and has enough confidence to play at their own pace, make those decisive moments, and have that quick first step when needed is awesome. And it's just a great sign to see a young guy doing that. But for my soil guy, I got a 19-year-old that goes by the name of Jalen Duren. Really big on this guy. Even last year, as an 18-year-old, he was going out there and making the dirty man plays.
He's strong, man.
He's strong as hell.
Grown man strength.
That's what I'm saying. And I even have it in my notes. He's averaging almost 15 and 12, which is fucking awesome for a second-year player. And he genuinely looks like he's babying grown men. I haven't seen anything like this for a long time. Since like Zion's rookie year, he is bullying grown men at that young age. So I think the ceiling for Jalen Duren, I don't know where it is. Like, he might turn into a Flowers guy. I have no clue. But if he stayed at a consistent soil guy for the rest of his career and was just an awesome third, he's not even a third option. I don't even know how to describe him. Like a phenomenal role player. Like the best you can possibly get. And he's shooting it, and he's doing it on 67% from the field. He's picking and choosing when to get his shots off. There's a lot of dunker spot, a lot of putback situations. I believe, if I remember correctly, he's top 5 in the league in offensive rebounds. So I love me a guy who can create extra possessions. Love me a guy who can.
Something else that's really impressive about Duren to me is the big man room that they have in Detroit is all like top 5 picks. Like, he's competing against Marvin Bagley and James Wiseman every day, and he's just fucking dominating. As we can see, like, he's getting all the minutes, he's getting all the touches. So absolutely love that. That's a phenomenal pick from him for that second year guy. And it's always great to just, everybody needs some of those guys on their team. And so yeah, shout out to Jalen Duren.
Good pick.
Great pick.
Thank you.
Now I thought that kind of a poetic beginning to this segment and giving these awards out. I wanted to give it out to a guy that could have won this. If there was a season award, he'd probably have 6 of them. He'd be the Michael Jordan of this award. And that's PJ Tucker.
Oh.
So let me just give you PJ Tucker's week. He gets traded at 2 a.m. on Tuesday morning, whatever it is. Then turns around about 15 hours later and suits up to give 20 minutes to the Clippers. He ends up finishing with 5 offensive rebounds and 4 fouls, which is just a PJ Tucker game. Obviously not the craziest thing, but just the fact that he's been getting tagged. He's been tagging along with Harden to all these different spots, and it feels like he's just there to fill in the gaps that Harden just doesn't do. So absolutely love PJ Tucker, Phoenix Suns legend. Back when he was with us, he had to be a Flowers guy though, which is kind of funny looking back. But he has been, love PJ Tucker. He's the penultimate hustle guy, and so I thought it would be the perfect way to kick off this new segment.
No, I love that pick. I've been watching a lot of PJ Tucker interviews recently, and he's just a super intense but positive guy. And I think with those kind of like psychopath guys, you know, I mean, it won them a championship with the Bucks organization. I think that it's going to maybe do something for the Clippers. I don't know. I think they're too lost, and it's just something you can't control in terms of injury. But I think that's a great pick. Like you said, what is it? 4 offensive rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds?
5 offensive rebounds, no other stats.
That's exactly what you're paying him to do, right? That's exactly what you're paying him to do.
Yep.
Great pick, TJ. I really like that segment. I think we can make that a popular thing. Let's start that trend. Is he a soil guy or is he a flowers guy? I love that. Let's go ahead and start spreading that. But ladies and gentlemen, we're creeping up on the hour mark, and I appreciate you guys so much for listening. You went ahead and knocked this out on Saturday, November 4th. My guy TJ coming in here with doing his homework. Love it as always, coming prepared. Any last final words for the people?
Let's cross our fingers, say some prayers, and let's hope we can get this Suns team back on track. Let's get Bradley Beal's back healed. Let's get Booker back on the court, and let's hope that it's not too late.
Absolutely. Shout out to Philippines. Love you guys. You will have a phenomenal rest of your day.